Welcome everybody to the October meeting of the Lower Southwood Planning Commission. We'll call the meeting to order. First order of agenda business is review and hopefully approval of minutes from the September meeting. Everybody have a copy of those? Motion for approval. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Dave, if you just want to give us a thumbs up or thank you. Approved as submitted. I would call to the members' attention that we adjourned at 8:26 and off of that. Right, plan review 731 Old Sumner Town Pike.
Good evening, I'm Glenn Kalcheski with Bursick and Associates, and I'm here representing SY Builders LLC to do a 3-lot residential subdivision at 731 Old Sumner Town Pike. The lot currently has one existing dwelling on it right now, which is proposed to remain. That would be lot 1 in the 3 lots, and then lots 2 and 3 would have each would have a new residential dwelling. Lots 1 and 2 would have a shared driveway access, and then lot 3 would have its own individual driveway access onto Sumner Town Pike. We are proposing to do public water and public sewer for this site, since we're planning on using the R3 zoning district requirements. We would probably propose that we don't show any utilities on the plan, but we would propose a water main extension up from Main Street to the site. And also sewer, I guess there's 2 options. We could take a force main up to Orchard Lane to Bellingham Lane, or we could take a gravity line out to Main Street and I think turn south and go down to the next road. I think if we wanted to do all gravity, I think it'd be more cost effective for us to do a force main up to Bellingham, I would believe.
You said lots 1 and 2. Is that a shared drive or a double drive? And then
It's a shared driveway. It's 18 feet wide, and then it splits into 2. A 10-foot wide driveway splits off of that really to go to lot 2.
But from where they join up, one's coming in, one's coming in, they effectively pass each other.
I would think so, yes.
You said 18 feet wide?
Yes. And based off the review comments we did receive a sketch plan review letter from CKS Engineers dated September 16th. They did recommend possibly relocating the shared driveway to the existing driveway location. And we are probably going to consider doing that. I did start looking at the site distance a little bit, and the site distance is better at the existing driveway location. I'm not sure if it's 35 miles an hour out there, I'm not sure we're going to get the site distance at where we're currently showing the driveway. So I think we almost have to move it down to where the existing driveway is. So that's going to reconfigure some lots a little bit also. Did you want to go through the review comments?
Yeah, it's supposed to be with your mounts and think you're actual what's your sketch plan right now.
That's right. We're just here for feedback.
Is there anything you think you're gonna have trouble with, or anything that you think the highlights that they were partnering with and that's how they have these out?
Yeah, because we'd like to get your feedback on some potential waiver requests. There's requirements to do cartway widening and possibly a 5-foot wide shoulder / bike path along our side of Old Sumner Town Pike. We'd probably request a waiver for that. There's a requirement to do curb and sidewalk along Old Sumner Town Pike. We would probably request a waiver for that. We might request a waiver to do combined preliminary and final plan, if that's an option in the land development process. And then I guess we wanted to talk about, there was a comment in there like flag lots for lot 2 is a flag lot or a rear lot. The front yard is required to be parallel to Old Sumner Town Pike right away, which is currently it's not. We put it parallel to the rear of the existing house. We'd probably like to discuss what your thoughts are and you know, we can make it, we can make it work, but if we have, we can ask for a waiver, it might be better if we keep it parallel to the existing dwelling versus parallel to Sunny Town Pike.
If you were to taper it to parallel also down Pike, you can still get the lot size.
Yes. But it may just work out a little bit better to keep it parallel, just because the existing house is not parallel to Old Sunny Town Pike.
But that lot line is only, that lot line is only 200 feet for that lot.
Right.
So I don't think it's great distance unless you have another reason why you can't make it parallel. I think at least you should try to get parallel.
That's fine.
Let me pause and go back a little too, that comments about, let me help here, sidewalks and curbing. So I'm familiar with that area. I live with it. There have been 2 new homes that have been built there, around that corner of Orchard and Sunnytown, Old Sunnytown. I say, definitely within the last 10 years, I think.
Yeah, I remember one.
Did they get, waiver for sidewalks, or they defer it, or what's the current status?
I wouldn't remember
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
It all depends if they went through land development or not, you know.
Yeah, the township does not normally waive those requirements if they may defer the requirements. And you may still be required to do the grading for the sidewalk improvements. If that is what the planning commission recommends and then is approved by the board.
Would you also count that like as a proposed impervious area then for stormwater counts?
If it's within the right of way, no.
All right.
And what my position would be, if we look at this, at least in one other home there, not 2. If we determine that they were deferred. And they might have been deferred because.
Excuse me, Scott. please.
You can hear the applicant didn't find, we can't hear the numbers. That's why I said we use on.
Well, these aren't the microphones, this is just an amplifier, so if the planning commission doesn't mind speaking up, there might be something wrong with the mic.
What I'm gonna say, what I was saying is. At least one of those houses went through the development process, and most likely, like you were saying, Michelle, they might have deferred sidewalks. Reasonably so, because there were no other sidewalks in that area of Orchard and Old Sunnytown Pike. So if this is another development in that same general area, this might be the opportunity then to invoke the deferral and in the new development and start connecting things. But I would just like, if we could determine if the other lots have deferrals or anything else.
The sidewalks on Bellingham.
Right.
See any.
And the other house that was just recently I'll say redeveloped, Bellingham and Orchard, that go through the development process? I don't think so, I think it's probably got a building permit.
Yeah, that did not have to go through.
Right. That's got a building permit.
That was.
And
Actually,
the one reason I'm saying it is, let's see what's going on out there. See how many other houses were deferred. It wouldn't surprise me, there's another little cape on Orchard, that doesn't get rebuilt. And start connecting some of these newer homes that they're putting in there.
we could definitely look at the one on Orchard Lane before they submit.
Yeah, see if it's deferred, yeah.
So we'll step through the technical conversation as part of it, then there'll be a public.
Yeah, I have to say, I can't hear a thing, so it's like a private conversation to me, and that's
Okay.
not really why I came.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure where the audio is coming
We'll
from.
try to speak as loud as we can.
I'm not sure if his microphone is.
You know, yeah.
There are no
so-
amplifier mics that are on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just.
So I apologize, but
No, I don't-
really, it's like a private conversation.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello?
David's not able to hear us. David, can you hear us? David? That's not-
I mean, I just heard that. Previously, I could hear the applicant because he was speaking into a microphone
Okay.
just fine.
Okay, we'll try to speak up when we're talking, okay?
All right, I heard you fine right there.
Great, thanks.
Okay, I don't know if there's any other big issues in the review letter. I know the one comment we might have problems with is, I saw there was a comment in there about providing, turning templates for the emergency access vehicles for ingress and egress to lot number 2. I guess we would have to maybe know what the largest vehicle you're gonna want a truck turning template for. I'm sure we're not getting a fire truck in there to turn around, you know, that it's, and
Just driving straight and then just back out.
Just only part of it.
now do we, I guess we have to put larger radiuses in so a fire truck can turn into the driveway?
The normal layouts or whatever at the beginning.
Okay. That's fine.
I'm sure we're not getting into this sketch, but over the satellite image I'm looking at, there's a fair number of trees. You're gonna have a fairly sizable replacement tree.
There's gonna be some tree removal, yes, and we'll have to replace the trees as necessary. I guess that would be another question, the street tree requirement. We do have, there are street trees out along Old Stony Town Pike. They're not in the correct distance from the right-of-way line. If we don't have to cut them down, we'd like to maybe have them count as the street trees also. That could be like a partial waiver request.
I think we've done that as long as there's viability and if they're not actually approaching into the street, like, you know, sometimes we say, hey, you gotta move back, so I see them on here, I think, you know, staff will be able to do that at the time to say, are they buying the trees in appropriate proximity, but yeah, we will make you take down all trees to find a new one 4 feet further back.
And then one question I had if we do the force main design up to Bellingham Lane, would the township prefer we do a grinder pump for each individual lot? And then one force main up the road, or would you rather have us run gravity out to one grinder pump? And then just have one grinder pump everything up to?
Right, I would suggest that you contact the sewer authority,
All right.
Southwood Sewer Authority, and get that process started. They can help you with that.
Alrighty, I'll probably send Patty an email, just if you can give me their contact information.
And when you submit your preliminary plan or your final plan, that will automatically go to the school.
Alright. And just
But
a,
I'm sorry, but if you need a planning module at that, time, you might want to have a conversation with the authority, because you might want to submit your planning module documents at the same time you submit your preliminary plan.
yes, we could do that,
I'll send you Denise's information.
okay. And just a side note, the house that we're showing on the plans is just, we just stole that from another job. The client hasn't actually given us the house footprint yet that he wants to use, so that, the one that you'll see on the preliminary plan will be different than the house footprint that's shown on there.
So I think biggest takeaway, the thing I want you to walk away from this from is, you know, as Scott brought up, we can defer, but we don't waive sidewalk, and if we defer it, we agree to defer and say, okay, we don't know when we'll put that in, we want the grading done.
And that's acceptable.
That'll help us figure out the tree thing as well, like we'll move through a bunch of issues as we go.
Yeah, because I'm sure once we get into doing the grading the lots and putting in individual on-lots stormwater facilities, there may be more tree removal that pops up as we're doing that process also. Oh, I guess the one question, the street light, do you really require, the street light is a zoning requirement? But it's a shared driveway, it's not really a road, it's not a public or a private street, so I don't know if that really, the street light really applies for a shared driveway or not.
In the past, they have, the township has required like a driveway light, similar to a driveway light. at
Like a
the
lamp.
driveway. Yeah.
It's like a lamp, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's all I had, unless you got any other questions.
If you take a look, I mean, I think the requirement is that the property line run parallel, and I don't think that you're confined enough to warrant relief. And actually, if you pivoted, in conjunction with the access line that's coming in and separating lots 1 and 3, you might actually just give a little bit more backyard to lot 1 and not really impact lot 2 all that bad. So since that's what the requirement is, let's strive to do that. And if you come back and say, well, I can't for some reason, and here's how it really would negatively impact lot 1, we'll talk about that.
All right, I'm 90% sure we can make it work.
So.
Make a comparison.
All right.
All right,
We're good.
all right, well, thank you.
Any questions or comments? Yes, sir. So for the minutes, just state name and address.
Yeah, I'm going to start. Yeah, so first of all, I'm Beth Gallen. So thank you for all the input that you've given me and so forth. I'm a little bit disappointed in this evening because I really couldn't hear very well. So it's kind of like more of a private meeting versus one that's open to the community. So that I really am disappointed about because I'm walking away without really hearing exactly what was said. But otherwise, I appreciate that you invited us and that we're here tonight. Thanks.
Are there minutes that you guys publish that we could see later?
Yes,
Yeah.
and there will be a video on our website, which usually is put up about 24 hours after the,
And thank you, Patty.
yeah, I can send you the link.
Earl?
Yes, sir.
Earl Sullivan, 269 Cary Lane. My eyesight's not as good as it used to be, and I'm trying to determine on the proposed dwelling, the lower left, where the entrance is and where the driveway is.
And it's up there, we're actually video right there.
Oh, it's off of 63.
There's let me count 5. There will be 2 driveways. One at the existing driveway entrance or near that existing driveway entrance, which will split into 2. And then they're gonna create a secondary driveway a little further, I'll say, east
Oh, okay.
on Old Sunny Town.
Is that, oh, okay. Yeah, that's the existing.
That, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I see it now, right here. That's the entrance, right, then the driveway is this,
Yes.
okay, fine,
The existing driveway is not shown on that first sheet.
yes, yes, yeah, okay, that's fine, I understand that. The existing home, to the, yeah, to the right of it, there is a dwelling. And will that remain or will it be?
According to their preliminary plans, the existing dwelling will remain.
The existing home,
Yeah,
Yes.
you can ask this gentleman here, but
Yeah.
according to their preliminary plans.
the existing home.
That's right.
Yeah, but to the right of that, as you're looking from where we live,
Yep.
to the right of that, there's a,
Oh, an outbuilding.
yeah,
No, it's going to be removed.
it's gonna be
The
removed.
smaller building behind that
Okay,
existing
thank-
house, it's going to be removed.
Okay, okay. And, will there be a lot of trees removed on the two properties?
So, a sketch plan, they don't quantify that yet, but that was one of the questions that I asked the applicant that you couldn't hear. It is a fairly wooded lot, so they are gonna have to remove a number of trees to bring in the new driveway as well as for the new homes, as well as for the stormwater management.
Okay.
So the requirement is, we measure the size of the trees, it's called a caliper, and they'll have to replace what they take out. It's obviously gonna be younger trees and may not all fit on that
Sure.
lot, which case we'll figure out where else to put them.
Okay, now, to the rear, coming this way towards the homes that exist, there's a number of trees there. And there's a gully. There's a gully there,
in there,
and, I'm sorry,
a stream. A creek.
yeah, there's a stream that goes into the gully. Okay, and there's trees all around there. Will they be disturbed in any way?
They're gonna have to come back and tell us if they would. Our general assumption is, first of all, if that stream is handling part of the stormwater.
Yeah.
They have to work with them to retain that, because they can't now start to discharge water off of their property because of this development.
Right.
So we'll either have to retain that or enhance it. And then what we usually always try to do is the trees that are near the property line, we always try to keep it because it's the buffer between the new homes and the existing homes. that are there.
Exactly, okay,
So most developers would already want to take down the trees that they have to accommodate the new buildings anyway, because if not, it's the cost. And then we always try to retain the trees that are on the property.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
And subsequent submissions will have to be very defined about, here's the trees we're gonna remove, here's any changes we would make to stormwater management. We'll get into a very technical review when they come back next time.
If I may add, Glenn, it doesn't look like that swale or that waterway is shown clearly on these plans. If you have additional survey when you submit the preliminary plans, please show it.
And we don't have that survey right now, but we have to survey that creek, and we're gonna, whichever we take the water, way we take the water and sewer, we're gonna have to topo the roads and everything like that, so.
But even along their property.
Right,
Oh,
and you had a comment in there about topo within 100 feet of the property line, we had to get more topo. Just as long as we don't get yelled at by the property, adjacent property owners.
Surveyors been down in that stream area.
Oh, they were?
Flags up there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that was the wetlands evaluation.
And the engineer's reminding him, and he's acknowledging, is he actually has to go off of his property and understand where the water goes for 100 feet, so he doesn't just stop his property, he'll actually understand where that water's going.
The property of, I'm sorry, the survey of the homes. Near that, I call it the gully, where the flow of water is. Have been surveyed a couple years ago by the woman who lived down to the far end. She passed away, but she had the whole area surveyed. All the way up to the homes all along the border there. There was a recent survey a couple years ago in that area. And it seemed as if I recall correctly, and I could be challenged by Beth here, that the boundaries for the back end of the properties were over the gully at the top. Not, if you look at the gully here, and here's the properties here, it was over towards their area where that line is. So it took in a lot of trees,
Mike's showing,
a lot of trees.
Mike is showing that area now.
Is that the creek that, I see that, yeah.
It looks like it, yes.
Yeah.
It looks like that gully area you're talking about is not on their property so much as it is on the other properties.
Yes, exactly. The
Okay.
gully is on the other
Adjacent.
properties.
Yeah, so I think when we saw like some of the pink flags going up and so forth, it seemed a little bit different from what we had anticipated. So I know that it's up to the county and so forth, what's on record, but how would we know that for sure?
So, and you might not have heard somebody just
No, I didn't.
mention that it was a wetland delineation. besides doing a topographical survey of the area, they also went out and had a professional go out and tell them where there were not any wetlands in the area, and they have to delineate the, area of that. And if you saw pink flags, that's what the pink flags were, not of the green, but of a wetland.
Oh,
Or
okay, all
Okay.
right, that's interesting.
Okay,
now.
I
Thank you.
understand.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Did I see one more hand before we close this out? Sorry.
I'm Joe Gallen. We're all on Cary Lane, so we're at the bottom there, and that's why we're here. Did I hear that the middle house is the existing house?
That's correct. The one
And
with-
that's gonna not remain, that'll be,
No, that's gonna stay. That's gonna, the existing house will stay, but the the two accessory structures.
Yeah.
In the rear will be removed. There's a large shed and maybe a garage.
yeah.
And then there's a shed in the back too, that both of those will
Okay.
get removed
So the existing house will remain
as it is.
as it is, okay? And you talked about lighting a little bit. We had problems in the past with Arbor Square. I'm sure you guys dealt with it and fixed it. But
Thank you.
will that become a problem here?
It's not the type of lights we're talking about, sorry, thanks.
The lighting?
So, yeah, so the ordinance sort of treats a shared driveway as a road and therefore it says put a street light there.
Okay,
But since it's only two homes, what we tend to do is we say, just put a light post, you know, something about 7 feet high. You know, traditional black kind of thing, so that people coming to visit the two homes know where the driveway is, but. You know, there's probably a bunch of those along your street and others where people just have a light down by their mailbox, that's what we're gonna ask.
okay. And I know we talked about the stream, which is between the properties of ours and theirs, but there is a Bellingham drain basin that feeds into that stream. So it is wastewater or,
Strong.
yeah, stormwater.
We hope it's not.
Yeah, one of the things the applicant will have to do is he'll have to prove that he's not creating more off-property stormwater discharge. So
Right.
there's a whole module they have to go through to provide those calculations and demonstrate that, and we'll see that in the next.
Okay, and maybe my last question. My home is not on the map, but over here.
Well,
more.
actually, is
Uh,
there.
It is at the end, I guess. So will that home, the new home, have the ability to build other side buildings behind it?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the right, as long as it's within the building setback, so you're creating a new lot, and then that, you know, there's a. Impervious coverage, they can only build so many buildings, and they have to do it inside the building envelope, but if. At some point they decided to put a shed out back or a pool or something along those lines, they would be entitled to that as the property.
But it couldn't be another home,
No.
okay?
One
I-
home per-
And isn't there something like there's a United States waterway something?
That was part of the wetlands delineation. They did determine, part of it was. It wasn't wetlands, but they call it waters of the United States where. There was a line on the plans, it's also called like the high water mark, like during a flooding event. There's no floodplain. If you look at the FEMA floodplain map, there's no floodplain actually delineated on this site. But he marked, the wetland specialist marked like a high water mark. I think he's required to mark when he does the wetland delineation.
So it could flood their property. So the people that would potentially own that lot, they would own that whole lot with that waterway that you were talking about and all of the property around it, the trees and everything, right?
That's correct.
So what would preclude them from taking down the trees? Like, I mean, they could do whatever they want, right? Right, don't say on the property, they could just take it all down?
But not along the creek, right?
100,
That's what they can't touch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that.
No, they can't do whatever, I mean.
They can do
everyone
whatever
has
they want,
to maintain-
Just like you would go to the back of your
Like-
property, follow. Your tree would be fine.
that's what I was
They
thinking,
could,
so,
they
yeah.
could pull permits for sheds, and the sheds can get quite large, there's a clause in the ordinance that requires sheds, so more than 30% of the square footage of your home. Unless you get conditional use approval, so there's quite a bit that can be done on every property, including your own. And that also includes woodland removal. Okay, so this has to go through land development, which means that they need to comply with woodland removal. And whatever they remove may require additional trees to be planted as tree replacement. So that when, in the future, when they decide they want to remove any additional trees, they'll need to contact the township and find out what they can actually do. If they can't clear cut their lot because they were a part of the subdivision. And that's in perpetuity, that woodland that is required to remain now is still going to be required. Unless they want to plant additional trees.
All right, last question.
Yeah, I don't know, just for my information.
Let Dave talk.
Oh, dumb question, but I'll ask anyway. Nobody can, turn this, oh, Dave Dixon, 279 Cary Lane. This is strictly residential. A guy can't buy one of these properties and start running a business on it, right?
Well, I mean, technically you can have an in-home business.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
it's
it's
not
like
gonna look
tractor
like a
trailers or
business.
something like that pulled
No,
down there.
it cannot be a commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just a question. What is the distance that's permissible from the property line to a building, like a shed or something?
I don't think we're allowed setback.
Is it
So
used to be
it's-
10 feet?
If a shed is less than 100 square feet, it's allowed to be as close as 5 feet to the side and rear property line. Not allowed in the front yard. It can't go into the creek or into any floodplain soil. Okay, so we also have a floodplain conservation district, so if any of these are actually floodplain soils, then they have to stay out of that also. If a shed is in between 100 and 500 square feet, it has to stay 10 feet from the property lines, side and rear,
What size?
10. I'm sorry, in between 100 and 500 square foot. So if it's a detached garage, something like that,
What about a shed?
5 feet if it's less than 100 square feet.
Thank you.
All right, so I think you've got your next steps.
Sure,
Okay.
it's good. All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Have a good night.
So, I'm sorry, this is like, what are the next steps?
So that was just the sketch plan, he's coming and saying, here's what we're thinking of doing, here's what the, conditions are. We give some preliminary feedback on what's the issues that we're gonna want to see. Then they'll come in with a preliminary plan, and in this case, they'll ask for preliminary final since it's just 3 lots.
Is that like within weeks or something, or
What's that?
is that within weeks or
It's up to them.
months?
That
or-
sounds really good, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna be, it'll probably be a little over a month, probably more like 6 weeks.
So
Okay.
he'll get on the agenda once he submits it. So at this point, the agenda for November is already closed. If he got something in the next 2 or 3 weeks, he might be able to get in December, I doubt he will. So I suspect the next time we see this will be after the first of the year.
Okay. And I can contact Patty or
Yes.
Mike if I have any additional questions. Okay, thank you so much.
Just remember that there's the joint meeting for November, December. right?
Yeah, the earliest meeting they can get to would be December 10th.
Thank you.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Did you get a copy of this? You want one of these? The whole big plan? Actually, I will take that. That's. I'm sorry.
That's just the preliminary.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, zoning hearing board application, it's 34 Morris. Does you, Michael?
Yes, so,
Yeah, I did.
so this is just an
Yeah,
update.
I
so
think
we're
we did.
actually finally
Yeah.
having-
Earl just said, thank you again, Patty, for everything you helped us with. Appreciate that. And Mike too.
So this is just an update for the upcoming zoning hearing. that would happen, and that's where the 13th, it's been.
Hey Dave, can you hear us?
Can't hear, okay.
Since it's really up there, can we just bring the microphone up and turn it around so we can?
So this is the only microphone that's on the table that is receiving anything.
He was talking to that.
I know, we only have.
Yeah, but that's it, just for show.
That's not it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So this was picking him up.
Let me turn it down.
See.
Yeah, that mic is good. I mean, I hear you guys loud and clear, and I heard the applicant loud and clear with that mic.
Okay.
Okay.
My ears are pretty good. I'm listening in. I'm hearing
Okay.
most of it.
You open the blinds?
Yes.
So we have a couple of applications for the upcoming zoning hearing board. The first one is 34 Morris Road. That's just off of Store Road. And that portion of Morris Road is actually going to be pull up the plan just so that everybody can see it. And I'll just briefly discuss the application. And share. So this is 34 Morris Road, this is Store Road here. And Morris Road is to the right, plain right. Okay, if there's an existing Cape Cod on the property,
Coming from my house down towards Langham, of course, it's the last home on the right hand side.
Yeah. And it's right at the edge of the township here. And the structure in question at the zoning hearing is the one-story apartment building. It's a 2-unit apartment building. It's a legal non-conforming use that was made an apartment building before zoning actually came to the township. And so what they want to do is they want to expand that use and add a couple of basements and some other improvements. And so the zoning ordinance requires that they go in front of the zoning hearing board for special exception approval. And they want to exceed the maximum allowable 25% expansion. And by doing basements, they're like 114% expansion, so they'll need a variance. So they're asking for the special exception and variance. But it'll be the same footprint. These are photos of the existing structure. And it will look the same. They're adding a little, 6x10 foyer in front.
What do you mean by adding a basement? Lifting the houses, taking out a basement and putting it back down?
No, they're raising the house.
Right.
Digging a
Raising
basement
the house and putting the house back.
in the same exact footprint.
Okay.
Yep. Right. Then once you're raising the house.
Right.
Already see.
Already.
Yeah.
Already
Yes.
You're gonna demolish the house,
Demolish
they basements and build in the same footprint, well, a little bigger. Or the same
Same
footprint,
exact footprint, same exact location. It's called.
but that's adding to the square footage,
The basement,
even if it's not livable space, or are they making that livable space?
it'll be 9-foot ceilings, it'll be livable. It's.
But still to a
space
part
that is used
by
by
the
the
apartment.
use itself.
for the units,
There will be a laundry room down there
okay,
and utilities. It's usable space and it's gonna be accessible. From the, there's gonna be stairs, just like a regular basement, they'll go door and walk out for one,
okay.
it's usable space.
Yeah.
So,
An attic upstairs.
no attic,
Oh, it's,
those are just dormers, I think it's just architectural.
I'm saying that. Fine. I'm just gonna go with space.
It just a typical attic. So they have raised ceilings on the inside, so the attic is actually gonna be minimized.
Yep. So I guess my only concern would be. We're setting a mathematical precedent about the extent of expansion that you'll allow. So. Sort of being prepared with what that might create in terms of other opportunities or applications. And then I would highly encourage supervisors to have a restriction that says. The number of units is grandfathered at the existing number. And, you know, so they can't turn around and then decide, well, let's run out that basement.
That is something that was already determined. I issued a determination letter indicating that the existing non-conformity is the 2-unit apartment building. And if they proposed any additional apartment, so that would be denied, and they would actually have to go back for the hearing board for a use variance or to add any additional.
Any other thoughts?
So some dollars.
I don't know if it makes a difference or not. You have an inventory of non-conforming apartments in this township?
Non-conforming apartments.
Like this one?
Specific.
Anything like this, where this could come up again?
We keep track of non-conforming.
Apartments in particular, or just generic non-conformity?
So. But we don't have many off the
This
top of
is
my
the
head.
idea to me that this is out there on Morris Road, these apartments.
Yeah.
So-
I took your side.
Yeah,
28 years.
Yeah. Even how would you
So-
know?
Right,
Just by driving by, you would never know.
right, I don't know how we'd have an inventory, that's what I was wondering.
Is there anything that we need to clean up if this opportunity presents itself, like, I didn't, I agree with the other guys. I didn't even know it was apartments, because like, I've never seen a lot of parking.
Yeah.
But if they're not gonna make it into 2 attractive units with, you know, in-unit washer, dryer and stuff like that,
Now,
they might rent it, so do we wanna address any parking?
So all of that is grandfathered.
So they're opening the door.
because now you make the
So-
bed down there, right, technically, you could have, instead of one person living in this apartment,
It would
3.
still be one unit, but now it's, you know,
It's still
mother and
remain-
2 kids or something. like
Right.
that,
It's
one
still-
teenager.
They have the parking, so it's existing parking, they still have the parking. And it's still, they've always used it as a two unit apartment.
I'm just gonna push back a little bit, because they've got the main house and 2 apartments. In my mind, that means that you could have up to 6 cars. And I understand that they don't have a requirement to have parking for 6 cars today, but they're coming in asking us to have a 116% increase to the square footage. I think it's perfectly reasonable for the township, this, you know, and the reason for doing it is they wanna upgrade the units to make them more relevant. That's fair.
Anybody get more money?
Exactly, in which case I think it's reasonable to say, okay, if you wanna do that, then demonstrate that you provide parking for your main house and 2 sizable rentals.
So if the planning commission does want to attach those comments, it's of the purview of the board of supervisors. So it would be your recommendation to the board of supervisors to send representation to the zoning hearing board to say what the request would be as a condition of the variance and special exception request.
Yeah, your point's well taken, I don't want to throw it in front of that buzzsaw, but at the same time.
Well, that's the, I'm just saying, like, that's the process that has to, it's not up to the planning commission, it's not up to the board of supervisors, so the application is actually for the zoning hearing board. However, from time to time, the municipality has sent representation or a letter to the zoning hearing board with the thoughts and the views and maybe the requests of the board of supervisors.
So let me ask the question this way, how much off-street parking is there today?
I can pull that up on the screen.
I mean, I'm looking at it and it looks like you can probably put 4 cars there now. I think you'd be challenged in terms of getting the upfront cars out, back cars behind it.
So here's an aerial view, let's go back to the fall so we can see everything. This is the footprint of the 2 unit apartment building. You can see with the dividing line here, 1 unit here, 1 unit there. And this is an existing garage here. This is 25 feet wide, so a couple cars would go here, and see, this is 40. This is drive out there, so this is about 50.
So 4 cars.
East 4 cars in the driveway, yes.
And we do, when they build these. If they're 1-bedroom apartments, are they keeping them as 1-bedroom? Do they have to keep them as 1-bedroom apartments?
No, the 2 bed, it's just dwelling unit, it's regulated, not the bed.
So they're gonna, are they one bedroom now? They're gonna make them into 2-bedroom apartments?
Let's go to the footprint.
And I guess part of that is they're adding bathrooms, sewage, are there on-site sewers? Sewage?
They want to go to the county because it would be online, I believe it's online.
If they're adding more bathrooms.
Since they're adding more bathrooms.
Right.
Yeah, we'll regulate that at building permit. So it looks like there'll be two.
Any idea what's in there today? Are they 1-bedroom today, you know? No idea.
Honestly, I don't know, but it's the same footprint. The basement is only carrying the laundry.
Right.
Okay, so. It's likely that it's already two unit. Right, because the footprint is not changing. For a 2-bedroom.
See, something doesn't add up. Why are you spending all this money? If you aren't planning on putting more people in these places?
Yeah, look at one to improve it, so in general, they're small, flat. Apartment building, apartment units.
So it's a 500 square foot apartment, 2-bedroom, it is what it is, but, I mean, yeah, basically gonna add a little, but still a 2-bedroom apartment. With 1 bath or whatever.
It expands in quite a bit, it's double the expansion, it's just the basement, there's only laundry downstairs, but that's why it was determined that it was a 114% increase in usable area per unit. Because they're doubling the size and actually more than doubling because they're doing the enclosed foyer, which is technically a building addition, 4 walls and a roof. So it increases the size quite a bit.
This kind of just reminds me of the guy who builds panoramic chairs in his garage and throws a couple out in the street. And then all of a sudden it grows into a commercial business, right? It's almost that same kind of thing. You can have your couple panoramic chairs and sell them, but now you're turning it into like.
My concern is that, I mean, they're not gonna be big, but they're gonna be brand new. It'll have storage and laundry downstairs, so you've got 2 bedrooms. Which isn't gonna appeal to a single person unless they're looking for somebody to work out, so it's gonna be. Somebody divorced with their kids, or it's gonna be a husband or wife or something like that, and as a consequence. They're gonna each have a car and a half, and the household's gonna have 2 cars, next thing you know, you've got. 4, 5, 6 cars jockeying for position in that spot, that's my only concern. Yeah.
Well, it seems like to me, basically, they have a single person apartment and they wanna make it a family apartment.
I don't think we go today, what is it?
I'm just, you know, with double the size,
Sorry.
putting laundry downstairs, they got more room. They got a place to get to expand their family.
So how about we use encouraging but non-specific language? I would recommend that we say that that if the supervisor is sending on to the zoning hearing board, we encourage them to have some stipulation to address sufficient off-street parking. I don't know if that's an expansion of the parking, if that means there's another driveway behind the building, if that footprint for that, or it's just the delineation of where the parking spots are. But if you have the 4 cars that could go with the 2 new rental units, then the others can't park in the garage.
There are actually more, I'm sorry, I did neglect to mention that there is this additional parking area over here. I should have mentioned that.
Yeah. So this is where we could, okay, between those 2,
Yeah.
let's make the applicant demonstrate that they've got sufficient off-street parking.
Yeah, because they can fit four cars right there, that's 40 feet wide, so they'll fit 4 cars right there.
Is that garage?
An additional 4 here, so 8 total.
And the drug gas this place wide.
In Manus,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this should track, oh, sorry.
When did you demolish that building?
About a year and a half or so ago. I'm in the process of renovation, and then it goes back and forth with the township. trying to figure out exactly what he could do by right, and what he would have to go in front of the zoning hearing board for. So we saw at least 2 or 3 iterations of plan, many meetings, discussions, and discussion with his consultants.
And he's only on one bedroom, if they were 1 bedroom, 2, he's been built. It's the number of bedrooms.
Correct.
David?
So they're basically saying that they're doubling the size of the interior of the property to add a washer and dryer.
Right, so you know it's more than that, right? It's implied, more living space down there. Whether it's sleeping space or whatever, it's implied, there's
Family room.
yeah, family room, bedroom, something. Cause they'll have an egress, they'll have to have an egress.
Yeah, but she said one's gonna be a walkout, and the other one's gonna be.
Right, so it's gonna be living or sleeping area.
Or it might just be, hey, these bedrooms aren't big, so you're out of season clothes and everything, there's now on-site storage.
Yeah.
But I suspect you can do some sort of a ban.
But that's where you're gonna get the money. To increase.
So that's what the applicant was claiming, that the basement was only used for utilities. And I agree, David, that I'm sending them to the zoning hearing board because I'm seeing that as potential future livable
Especially to
space.
bring 9-foot ceilings in there. If
Right,
it's just a utility room, that's all you're intended ever to be.
Right.
Why would you ever put a 9-foot ceiling in?
that's exactly right. So that's why I'm going to the zoning hearing.
It's gonna be a
board.
gamer.
It's gonna be something.
It's actually an open stair, like it's not like a door and then you're.
Right.
Actually, it's like an open staircase, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be better space.
Yeah.
So the other zoning, did you guys have any other comments? Okay. So the other zoning hearing board application is actually an application of the township, the zoning hearing board. The township is proposing a subdivision of the lot that we're sitting on right now, which is 79 Main Street. And what it is, what it's for is the subdivision of the residential unit that's behind us. It's actually a 2-unit building. It's a duplex behind us right now, along with the accessory buildings that are around, barns, sheds.
Maybe, you know, Google Earth hasn't updated, it's still from when the construction, they were filed the property.
And so here's the plan right now. This is the building that we're in, the township building and police department. And here's the fire company. And behind the fire company is the access drive out to Paul Road. Okay, and over here is the dwelling that I just spoke about, the 2 dwellings actually under one roof. And there's a barn and some other sheds over here. And the yellow line is the proposed lot line. So the proposed lot for the township will include the township's basin back here, so we can still maintain the basin. And it will include all of this driveway, so we'll still own the driveway. In order to get the subdivision to work, this will be converted into a right of way, so this will actually be a street from Polk Road out to this point here in order to make all of this work. And so the new proposed lot will have street frontage from this point all the way around to here. And then the yellow line will be the new lot for the residential use. And
Which means the zoning hearing will be put on that road for me?
note, the zoning hearing board application is for this, so this is an existing barn that exceeds 500 square feet, which means it needs to be set back for principal uses, which is this dash line here. However, it's only 10-foot setback. It's an existing barn and this is an existing driveway. So this is a scenario that is not changing, but since the property line is basically going down the drive, it will create the side yard setback at 10 feet where 30 feet is actually required. So that's the variance that's being asked.
Somebody living in it.
Yep.
It's an old farmhouse, it's fairly.
So it's owned by the township,
Correct,
so somebody rents it.
yes. Two families.
So if the zoning variance was denied, you have to reconfigure the lot line and rebuild the road along the lot.
Or demo the barn, there were some options,
The one being used.
yes.
I don't have any comments with anybody else.
Nah.
Good luck. All right, skip back comprehensive plan review.
So,
Yeah,
You didn't get it because it was all of this. It's all, yeah, that's what we, because you can certainly have gone to voice or,
so we received the draft of Skip Pack Township's proposed comprehensive plan for 2035. And I separated several of the big takeaways, basically, with comprehensive plans. As we all know, comprehensive plans include a lot of information, demographic information, housing information, traffic, parks, roadway networks, and that sort of thing. It's just a litany of info, and I separated out the major maps. So we can take a look at that, like land use. And let me just start marching through some of those. Put them up.
So just to clarify why you're doing that. Skippack Township is not part of the Indian Valley Regional Planning Commission, so this won't go through that process, which Dave Goodman and Keith are part of that body, and we'll see all of those changes. It's just that it's an adjacent township, right, so they have to provide it to us for.
That's right.
They have to, or just as a courtesy.
Well, I think, and the city requires they have to know that any of this around.
Thank you, Clay.
it's also in our office right now.
Okay. So let me just share this.
What that president?
The Indian Valley Regional Planning Commission is updated.
Okay, so this is the future land use map. And to get everybody oriented, Lower Southwick Township is on the right hand side. Okay. Yes, we're in 24. So this is the far west portion of Lower Southwick Township down here. This is Gargus Road, if you follow my cursor. This is Gargus Road. This is Beverly Wall Nursery, the red property. This is Hoover Steel. This is the Gargus Road Bridge, the historic Gargus Road Bridge, and this is Holman Road that will walk this direction. Okay. So what you can see based on the future land use maps is either vacant land or residential, or the lion's share of all the properties that you see along here, wooded area, recreational parkland, residential, purple is industrial. This industrial is Township Line Road here, Blucon Road. You can follow the cursor here, and Tyson Road runs plan north and south. And this is Township Line Road. It comes back here to a cul-de-sac. Back here at the back, this is, of course, let's get back Township. This is Don's Salad, order for eggs. So your H&K is the light blue office right here. And there's right of way that is allocated for Township Line Road that ends here at Lucan. And there's right of way that's allocated to connect it over to the Township Line Road that exists over here. So this is 113. And this is Township Line Road here. That continues over to Pressman. And so this is what I was talking about. So this is basically undeveloped, but Township Line Road essentially. So our future as Township Line Road connecting this Township Line Road over here. More parks. There's industrial along Pressman. Right here at Township Line Road over here on this side. Again, this is 113 Harleysville Pike.
CES.
think CVS is over there, and this is the Univest that burnt down,
Yeah.
it was reconstructed. Right there. And township line right here, and these are all the residential neighborhoods along township line area that we're familiar with. All of this area down here, every bit of it is R1A residential, which is our, as you know, our most rural residential zone in the township. All of this is R1A for us. So it's residential against residential or residential against park. This is Evansburg State Park, the dark green. And this is more residential here.
So Mike, just to keep us moving, because they must have paid the consultant by page. Any significant changes to the zoning map?
Well, the zoning won't change by way of comprehensive.
Well, sometimes that's where you indicate that, like, hey, we're gonna make this a high growth area, so you.
This is-
Lowering the density.
Right, that's why I pulled up the future land use mapping. This would be the basis of change like that.
So,
No substantial change.
have they identified any areas that they anticipate changing the density?
Throughout the township, I'm not aware, but along the township boundary with Lower Southford. Does not appear that they're changing it.
And any significant changes in introducing new uses?
Not that I'm aware of.
Are they part of, are they part of any regional planning commission? No,
I don't believe so.
it will be out of character for Skip.
Get back to.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I think there's the regional planning commission that's like East Greenville, Red Hill, Green Lane, and there's the one that like sort of heads out towards Pottstown.
Yeah, they're called Pottstown Regional Line.
Yeah, but I don't think Skip,
Central Park,
that's the,
yeah, let me put the map out.
They are in a stormwater alliance with several different municipalities.
they would not, they could do.
We are not, because we can do it all ourselves. Because Lower Southford, even before my time, was far forward thinking and getting a lot of projects done.
So anything of significant note that you wanted us to do? I mean, those are the things I always look at, okay, we're using new uses, we're
Right.
changing density. And you reconfigure the distribution of your, this,
I did not notice any big takeaway with that regard, anything that we should be made aware of. I looked at the pedestrian infrastructure map, that one, and also they have an EDRPC sidewalk connectivity map. Same thing, they're all in areas that we already recognize to be in areas of connectivity, either existing or in the future. And the housing plan, again, is in line with this future land use map that we just talked about.
And the only other things I can think of is we just had the applicant the other day where we all, a couple times over the last 2 months, where we talked about Route 113 and using that as a designated bike route, are they confident anticipating any infrastructure improvements along that? And I recall, and this goes back to like John Kennedy, at one point we were trying to work with them to see about doing trail connections through Evansburg and out of Lower Southford into Skippack Township, but I don't think we got very far on that.
But I haven't heard any advancement on that idea. This is their pedestrian infrastructure map. This is Route 113.
So not to disparage them, but when you look at that map, it highlights, I think, what a good job Lower Southford has done creating pedestrian trails.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So where, take the Evansburg Parkway here.
Where does that have from?
Thanks, David.
The park's not delineated on this particular map.
So,
And this is us coming down this.
Here's Evansburg, state park here.
But we're almost down to the township work, right? We're a little short of township on our trails, I think.
I think so, but I think at one point, you know, we talked about trail owner connection, and I think, if I remember correctly in the conversations, we deprioritized, because we said until we need to know what we're building to.
Right.
Okay. Cause I think at one point, wasn't there something at the county level, Claire, where there was talk of like, hey, we could build a trail that would get you down through Evansburg and start to match up to some of the other county trails that are, you know, down near Oaks and whatnot. There was visions of this network.
Yeah, and also pull up the county trail map of our area trail network, but
So it's, there's makes sense for us to build a trail.
Right, but Right, but Claire, can you connect to Evansburg Park from the Perkiomen Trail? Isn't there a spur
from
Take-
the
that takes you over
check. Sure.
to Evansburg?
So this is 40-foot road. And first we got line right there is 40-foot road. This is Talmadge Township on this side, this lower south road here.
Okay.
Hover is somewhere in this area. And so you can see Evansburg State Park kind of comes into the lower south road just for a little bit here. Along within the Cobra area, and then comes down into Talmadge Township.
So the dark brown line is 73.
So this is 73, don't worry. Right.
So the dark brown line is county line.
Township down.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's
Or the township band.
40-foot road out there.
But I'm saying the
Township,
That's the township line.
that's right.
So
And this is Church Road.
regarding Evansburg State Park, on the county's primary trail network, we have that shown as a proposed trail through Evansburg that would connect the Perkiomen, but currently there is a connection, the Skipback Trail goes to the Perkiomen, but there's nothing that connects to.
Okay.
DBRPC sidewalk and things will be this shows Skipback Township at a different angle. So now this is township line right over here. This is 40-foot road here. Township line 113. This is Evansburg State Park. This being 40-foot road, this is the sliver that's in Lower Southbury Township. Now you can see all the different sidewalks and trails that are in the residential. It's a long township line road here.
Yeah, that's a campus that all becomes a behind city.
Well, of course. This is Birdie Mountain. Almond Road down here. Marcus Road. Letter Rock Crossroad here.
So not seeing anything particularly noteworthy, and I think it's helpful for us to have as we go through our process to make sure that we're accommodating and matching up by appropriate, we get the boundary, whether we want to have.
Agreed.
Stormwater management discussion.
Yes, a couple months ago, we presented the new stormwater ordinance and gave you a colorized version of our proposed changes. The biggest thing I wanted you all to note is that we are going to require any development with more than 1,500 square feet of impervious coverage. Does that mean good?
No, yeah.
Oh, yeah, more than 1,500 square feet of impervious coverage to do something in regards to stormwater management. and that it was in line with many of your surrounding municipalities. So I asked Mike to put this on the agenda again, just so that we could move it forward. And if it's okay with the planning commission, we can have, maybe now or eventually have the planning commission, the Montgomery County Planning Commission take a look at it, and, the solicitor take a look at it.
So, help me understand, 1,500 square feet of impervious. Right? I'm thinking to myself,
That's 10 by 15.
well, it's a 2-story, 3,000 square foot home, each floor 1,500 square feet.
Yeah.
Because the house is impervious, right?
Yes,
So if I build a 3,000 square foot home on a 2-acre or 3-acre lot, so that's what we have out there in the suburbs here, right? I'm gonna have to do storm management on my one single lot,
yes, yes,
right? So that's a little basin or something,
rain garden,
rain garden.
basin, underground seepage bed. In fact, the last time it was presented, I measured it out, and I think it was to the front of this is 1,500 square feet in this bill, in this room.
And why I say that too is because I assume in our zoning areas of 3-acre lots or 2-acre lots, you're gonna get larger homes that are close to 3,000 square foot. And when you do that, it's 1,500 a floor. You're gonna meet that max. You're gonna hit that lot.
Well, it's impervious, so you don't even have to hit that with the house.
Right, driveway, right,
Right.
right.
Sidewalks,
So most of these homes that are gonna be developed on these 2 and 3-acre lots out in the far reach of the townships, are gonna require that. I'm not necessarily opposed, it seems like in certain regards, overkill, seems like a burden in my mind.
Michelle, you wanna go
Yeah.
through the requirements?
there is also in the ordinance a appendix that would allow any residential user to do a quick and dirty version of stormwater management, where they could just follow the guidelines in that section of the ordinance. And the design requirements are in that section. So if you have a 1,500 square foot house, it does the calculation or tells you how to do the calculation for 2 inches of runoff. Divide that by 12 equals whatever the cubic feet is. And then if you want to do a seepage bed and say that it is 3 feet deep, this is what your area has to be. If you want to do a rain garden, this is what you do. There's also allowances, and this is again only for residential. But allowances if you keep your tree canopy and don't disturb it. If there is an area of your lot that you want to minimize soil compaction, you're not gonna do anything in that area. That you can add that, or you can state that as a part of your stormwater management. So a person doesn't have, if they have a building permit plan, they don't have to hire an engineer to get a survey.
Right, that,
Right, right.
that helps.
And one of the reasons why we're doing this is because Mike is seeing more, I wouldn't say an excessive amount, but more stormwater complaints around adjacent neighbors when somebody does a large accessory structure, 30% of their house, like Mike was talking about earlier.
So let me ask you, today we have on the back door of Red Rock, that one gentleman who's doing a 3-lot subdivision.
Yes,
He would have to comply with that, assuming he has.
he is complying because he's doing the land development, subdivision and land development. So he has to comply with stormwater management and build a basin.
Okay.
Also the bridge.
No,
Yeah.
no, that's the one that Cornerstone Engineering is doing. You're talking about the one,
On the back entrance of the Red Rock Golf Course, what's the name of
Yeah,
it?
they-
Martin or something? Hoffman.
sorry, I thought you were talking about the one at the 5 Points. what I thought
No, the
was-
5 points, yes,
Yeah.
but how about the Hoffman? That's the 3-lot subdivision,
Oh, it's a subdivision and land development, so they have to.
still do the same thing.
It's encouraged that they do on lot. Which will preclude them from having them have an HOA.
Right,
Like
a shared,
is 45,
right, everybody has a,
where it's just 3 or so lots, exactly how many over there.
but there are at least 2 acres, if not 3 acres.
It's not like a, what essential, it's not like a conventional subdivision where you go into a road and you go down to a cul-de-sac and there's a, see a community, a sub-community in there. It's just 4 lots that are subdivided off of a main road, so it's generally encouraged that those be on lots, stormwater, seepage beds, rainfordings. We own and operate just by that one owner.
To help, not only the rate of stormwater management, but also the quality and the volume of stormwater. To stop all
The
of
runoff.
that runoff getting into those creeks and tributaries. And then still rushing down into downstream properties.
So with the validation of the remediation now be part of the occupancy permit, like?
Yes,
So, what are we thinking, like, you build a accessory building and then you go out and confirm with the seepage that they put in, or?
yes.
You got very excited when you started.
Sorry. I'm not that way all the time.
I mean, I think I kind of agree with Scott that I feels a little bureaucratic. But on the other hand, I do understand that, you know, you have a big house and then you decide to put in, you know, oversized shed in the back and put it 10 feet from the property line, and they said, you know, your gutters or pushing the roadway back out onto your neighbor's property, what do you do about that?
Or you're the neighbor of the guy that's doing that. Now your basement's getting water. Let's just change the.
Trees are another method of stormwater management that is allowed. It's, not that these numbers might not mean anything to you, but one evergreen tree 6 feet high will take care of 10 cubic feet of storage capacity needed.
Hey, the last time I wanna see somebody tear down trees just to get a basin, right? You don't wanna see that.
Any other comments or questions?
And you're saying the other townships around us?
Yes.
Are all doing it? Okay.
I mean, this is just for us to, you know, raise any concerns or. I don't hear any concerns, supervisors.
Thank you.
So are you at the point where you're ready for additional review by the county, or would you, want to send it to us in the village? Or if it's.
Yeah, I think it might behoove like an unofficial. Just right, for right now, we might tweak it a little bit before we send it for the official.
I don't think the board has seen this yet. I have a feeling they're gonna comment on the 1,500 square feet, like we're here tonight. So that might change and they might wanna see other things.
Okay.
I think maybe we should present it to the board first and then have the county look at
Session.
And now, I'm not correct, Manis, we said no concerns. That would be my only concern
Right.
too, right?
Okay.
And I pass that on to the board.
So, before we close out this topic, you know, there is a letter from, Mrs. Heather Dejanay, 391 Barton Circle. She obviously spent a bit of time reviewing it. I think she is partly in favor, expresses her support, wants to emphasize certain sections, 14G and F, 18, and some others. She had asked that it be read out loud at the meeting. My reaction to that was, I absolutely encourage residents to engage in this. If they want to come and share it out loud, they're welcome to do so. They can also submit it in writing. I'm not uncomfortable with them submitting it for us to read on their behalf. Because I just think that that could create a process where I'm sitting here reading emails, and then getting the tone right, and whatnot. So I'm glad that she did. I encourage us to pass it along to the supervisor as well. And you all have a copy of it.
Yeah, that's good.
Any other county business, Claire?
No, it's not big to us. Oh, actually, there is one update. I believe that Eric Gerald will be here on the combined November December meeting, because I think he's designing up the new downtown.
Any other new business or issues? And it came up earlier, the combined meeting, Patty, you said December 10th.
10th, I think it was.
Good.
See you in 6 weeks then.
Yeah.
She has like,
What
what
the
the
hell?
hell? This is the last one. Next thing you know, she missed her all out. Yeah, I missed that one, jump right over that. Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor? And say that fast enough. Okay.